Good afternoon, and God bless you, and God bless your household. Dr. Preston R. Winfrey here. How are you today? Oh, I hope you're doing fine. I hope you're doing well. I am doing super fantastic. I am here, clothed in my right mind with a reasonable portion of my health and strength that the good Lord gave me, right? I didn't do it on my own. I'm not that wise, I'm not that smart, but I'm just leaning and I'm trusting and I'm depending on the Lord. Let me just first say thank you, a very great thank you to all of you who follow me, who's watching, those of you who have clicked on the notification bell. You have liked us on Facebook, all of those things. Thank you. I want you to know how very appreciative I am to you. And though I don't re-comment or comment on everything that is said, I just really do. I appreciate you following us and for tuning us in, whether you do it at 3 o'clock. When I came on 2 minutes late today. Sorry about that. Or if you do it, you follow it, you listen to it after it has aired. But whenever you do, I want you to know from the depths of my heart, I really do appreciate you for it. And those of you who take the time to personally give your comments and feedback on these inspirational addresses, God bless you and thank you. Appreciate you so very so very much. And I hope that your week is going well. This is a great Saturday. The Lord has blessed us with some great weather, and I'm going to eventually get out these duds. I went by to view the body of a friend who now rests in eternity, and just showed up. He didn't know I was there, but his family did and others. And that's what it's about. You make friends as you go through life. You help people as you go through life, because you never know when the tables will be turned, and what others look for and expect. Those are the same things that we look for and expect. And the opposite of that, what we look for and expect, others have those same expectations. So blessed are those who give. It's more blessed to give, right, than it is to receive. So then I had a meeting with a group today at the church. In preparation for upcoming events. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about heading to the next chapter. That's my subject today, heading to the next chapter. Yes, my next chapter is retirement. I know there are so many people who say, but you're so young, you still got all this life in you. Well, no one knows how much life I have but the Lord. But what better time, since, number one, I qualify to retire. I have the age to retire, never mind how young I look. I appreciate every compliment, but I can tell you, just unplugging, back in the day, guys, mechanics sometimes would unplug the odometer so that the miles don't add up on the odometer, right there on the dashboard. But the truth of the matter is, the mechanic says now, however, the odometer shows that you have low miles, but the transmission shows that there's a lot of wear and tear. And so that's how it is with this life, with this person, that fella called Preston R. Winfrey. So life is full of chapters, right? I think back about life, our early days of existence. We were introduced to our surroundings by, a parent caretaker, whoever it was. Usually it was the parent. Introduce you to your surroundings, take you around the house that you live in, talk to you, show you, look, baby, look, this is your room, this is your bed. Look, baby, this is outside, this is inside. You continue to grow, and months turn into years. And you're taught and conditioned. You're taught behavioral patterns, things that you should do, things that you don't do, and things that you shouldn't do. Those come natural with us. When we're born, the Bible says that we're born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So no one has to teach us how to do wrong things, how to be deceptive, how to be evil, none of those things. Why? Because that's in our DNA. That comes with birth, comes with being born into this world. We're born into this world, believe it or not, with those traits in us. And so while we're young, our parents will teach us good traits, behavioral patterns. This is what you do. We're potty trained at an early age. They don't just allow you to just go and, drip and drop all over the house. They, put you in a diaper. You come here and they put you in a diaper, something that's going to catch, your drips and your drops, and I remember back in the day, you had those diapers, and then you'd get the little plastic drawers or whatever you call them that would go over the diaper so that no matter how much you dripped and dropped, as long as it was at a minimum, the plastic would keep all your business, if you will, from being exposed. And then they moved to Pampers and those kind of things, which gave you the combination of diaper and the plastic to hold your drips and your drops. But what they were doing, they were teaching you to become responsible. Sometimes they would take you to the potty. When they go to the potty, they set your little potty right next to theirs, and you got the idea that, you're going to drip and drop. I think I'm going to drip and drop. And so those were ways of conditioning us to know, at certain times, this is when you need to do it. And then they taught us how to hold your drips and drops. Not now. Wait, hold it. Not yet. Hold it. And so that was all part of the conditioning. We were preparing for the future. And then as we continued to grow older, we saw different doors. Now, we were introduced to doors in life, but then because of our inquisitive spirits and minds, we also looked for some doors, and of course, growing up, we were told not to come in certain doors. Don't touch that. Don't do this. Those were all doors. No, leave that alone. Avoid that. But our curiosity got the best of us many times, and I think it got to all of us, right? Can you remember when you were so inquisitive and you were told not to do something, but you said, I'm going to do it, and you did it? And some of those things we liked, we enjoyed, even though they were forbidden. But isn't it just like the forbidden? Stolen apples. Why is it that stolen apples and grapes always taste the sweetest? And then when you make the investment and make a purchase of the apples and grapes, sometimes they're not the best. Go figure. And of course, this is not an encouragement for you to go and make the purchase of, to go and just sample grapes and apples. but I'm just saying what I'm saying. Get permission to sample. And then if you find in this batch it's really sweet, then get that batch. Don't sample from one bag and then go to a brand new bag. That wouldn't be right. You wouldn't want anyone to do that for you. So we sampled an assortment of doors to see what was going to work best for us. And sometimes going in those doors, we got the shock of our lives, like, whoa, didn't expect that. And but it happens, right? So I want to say, since life is full of chapters, and of course, as you continue to have birthdays, get older, eventually you move out. We always consider moving out, and one of these days I'm going to be out on my own. We play and toy with that idea. And sometimes parents will help us out and say, you need your own place so that you can do what you want to do. Because in my house is my house. You're welcome to live here as long as you follow my instructions. Well, sometimes we get so big and we feel as though we've outgrown being supervised. And then that is a good time to exit and get your own place, right? You don't see robins or sparrows, as adults still in the nest with their parents. They will get them up out of there like, hey, somebody's got to go, and it's not going to be me. So we continue on being introduced to chapters, go away to school, get a job, get another job, a second job, chapters, new chapters. Every time you turn around, it's another chapter. Some people say, you know what, I think I don't want to be alone. I want to get married. And some people say, okay, let me head on into that chapter and see. Some have been very successful, while there are others who have not been as successful with marriage. I'm not going to judge. I'm just saying what I'm saying. But the second thing I want to bring out is this. Don't get stuck in any of the chapters. Now, getting stuck happens when we settle on the familiar. And who doesn't want the familiar? I'm used to this. I can do this with my eyes shut. But you do know there are times when your eyes need not be shut. Your eyes need to be open. You need to see where you're going. You need to be able to make proper assessments of this thing that's called life. Some people repeat the same issues, problems over and over again, and I suspect it's because their eyes may be shut. They don't pay attention, and so they just keep going around in circles. And it's a wonder many more people are not dizzy after going around in circles and circles and circles. It's like that church song that says, you got me going in circles, right? We don't need to go in circles. We need to have a plan in place. We need to say, wait a minute, I need to place a destination. It's like a GPS. You don't just have a GPS and say, okay, I've got this GPS and I'm sure that it works. Yeah, the GPS is asking you for a destination. The modern GPS say, listen, get out of this chapter. I know where you are right now. You're at this location, but where do you want to go? Whenever I call for a cab or an Uber, right, or Lyft, they always want to know, what is my destination? Where am I going? I can't just say show up at my house or show up at this particular place. They know where I am, but they want to know, where am I going? And then it becomes their responsibility to take me from where I am to where I am going to end up. Another reason we get stuck in one chapter is because we become comfortable with what's easy. You know, sometimes we say, I don't need the challenge. I just want to do what I know how to do. And there are people who just simply flat out refuse to learn anything more. Just no, don't confuse me with that. I just no, I'm getting a headache. Just leave me alone. Let me stay right here. Well, who wants to stay in the 5th grade the rest of their life? Well, you want to stay there because you fear the 6th grade. Who wants to go to a new school? No one, hardly. Because now I've got to learn new people. I got to learn new rooms. The rules, my God, may even change. So I don't want to do all of that. So we become comfortable with what is easy, and then we refuse to acknowledge and accept the needed changes. Sometimes things need to change. Are you listening? Okay, good. Yeah, sometimes things just need to change. You know, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and you praying, Lord, give us a different ending, it's going to end the way it has always ended because you have not made the change. The epitome of complacency is doing what you do all the time, expecting a different outcome. It's not going to work. If you have to be on the bus by a certain time and you keep getting there an hour after the scheduled time for that bus to depart from that stop, can I tell you, you will never get on that bus. Now, there may be another bus coming, but you won't be on that bus that you really needed to be on. Why? Because you refused to acknowledge and accept the needed change. Sometimes we'll acknowledge it, but not accept it. Sometimes we'll accept it, but not acknowledge it. Now, what's the difference here? An acknowledgement says, I know I need to change. So, to accept it means, I know I need to change, I'm going to change. Now, you can accept the change, but never acknowledge it. I know what I got to do. And I know if I do this, this will happen. But if you don't acknowledge that this is my time to do it, you will have blown that situation, that opportunity. So I want to say, don't get stuck in one chapter. Don't just keep reading, rereading, and rereading the chapter over. Oh, this chapter was so good. It was so good. Yes, but you have to move on. You have to say, wait a minute. I've got to do something more now about this situation. And then finally, no matter how enjoyable a chapter is to you, you need to say, I'm going to move to the next chapter. You know, as I think about, and I said I was going to talk about my retirement, as I think about it, yeah, it's a great day for me. It's a great day for my family. Because I have put in the time, I think about it, 44 years with the Pioneer Church. I've seen several congregations. You should know that. But I've been there. There have been some who've been there the whole time. There have been others who've come and left. Others who stuck their head in for 5 minutes and left. You know, all of that. But we have made necessary preparations to retire. thank the Lord that that was done back in the 80s, the mid 80s at that. Didn't know exactly when I would be retiring, but I knew that one day I would be retiring. And retirement is not always just one of those happy things. Retirement can be a bittersweet situation, right? It can be sadness on one side and happiness on the other. And so I've wrestled with both of those emotions. The sadness of, wow, the day is coming that I won't be getting up doing what I've been doing for the last 44 years. Getting there early, get to the church house, and, many times as I'm going through the doors, I'm blessing the Lord, thanking Him for the house, and going through the sanctuary, just praying and, touching pews. No superstitions here. But just, Lord, where the people will be sitting as we worship, Lord, praying that the Lord would give them a mind and a heart to come for worship, and that they may come to hear a word, of making sure that the temperature in the house is right. Making sure it's not too hot, making sure it's not too cold, considering the fact that we have many seniors and you want them to be comfortable, reasonably comfortable. And so as we look back and say, wow, I won't be doing that any longer. Planning weekly sermons and searching for the right illustrations and those kind of things to help drive home the message, and this great preparation that takes place prior to that moment of proclamation of the gospel. Yes, it's more to it for me than just 3 points and a poem or a song. No, it's so much more. I've often said that the average congregant can do that. They've been in church long enough to know how to preach. But pastoring for me has not been just preaching. It's been feeding. And that means knowing something about the spiritual diets and the appetites of people. Knowing sometimes that what's prepared, they may not want. Sometimes they just flat out don't want it. But then there are those times when it's been prepared and they sitting down saying, is there any more? Can I get a second helping? Of course, those are always the rewarding times of preaching the gospel and pastoring, shepherding those who are in need, those who are saying, feed me, I want to eat. That's always a blessing. But then you also, I'm going to be retiring from dealing with some people who have been obstinate, people who didn't welcome the gospel, people who didn't want to do right. They're in every congregation. Standing, trying to be sensitive and at the same time trying to be true to my calling, to preach the gospel, be instant in season, out of season, rebuke, reprove, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine, because the time would come when men, when women, boys and girls would stop up their ears and just would not want to hear sound doctrine. And so when I think about those who welcome the gospel, those who've grown from our leadership, those are the things that I will greatly miss. Knowing when I've made a difference, sitting down with families and counseling and talking to those persons who are interested in marrying each other, and sitting with them and taking them through sessions of premarital counseling and performing weddings, and then sitting with families who've lost loved ones through death. and those who have loved ones and family members who are dying, and to show up and to be there. And sometimes it took time for me to learn how to minister to them. It wasn't, I thought at first, it was about me doing all the talking, me telling them the Lord would make a way for them, and the Lord is with them. Well, at some point, they know that piece. They know that spiel. Sometimes all they needed was just for me to be there, sometimes to watch them cry, to hear them talk about their journeys. What a great narrative. And so I think about those times. I think about those times of fellowships with other congregations. Many congregation, fellowships are based on the pastors, right? That's why fellowships change when you get new pastoral leadership, who I was close with and friends with. That next pastor may not necessarily be friends with. Just as I inherited this pastoralship from my predecessor, and his friends weren't my friends. And so the church family then gets the opportunity to be introduced to a new set of friends. And yet they still have relationships with their old friends. And so I think about those times, no more getting up, going, I can show up whenever I get ready. I now have the privilege and the opportunity to go visiting other congregations. And sometimes I'll probably have to pace myself because there will be those who will no doubt see me and want me to come and minister, of which, sometimes I won't have a problem doing. But then there'll be times, if depending on how things go, I may just show up real late, just so I can be ministered to hear, the gospel. Sometimes just to see and witness how others worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So I look forward to the time where I'll be able to spend the extra time with my beloved wife, who has loved me, who has supported me, who was my number one supporter. And as long as I'm there and working, she's right there working right alongside of me. She thought it not robbery to work with me and give her time, her talent, her energy, her money, all of those things that just makes for a real good situation. Sometimes putting up with the abuse of people who sometimes took issue because she is the pastor's wife. Well, she don't act like the pastor. Well, that's because she's not the pastor. She's not as friendly as the pastor. That's because she's not the pastor. She wasn't the one called. The pastor was the one called. But, when you're dealing with multiple personalities, that's what happens. You deal with multiple personalities. But now I'll be able to devote more time to her, and especially during these times of as we both get older. We'll be able to do some more traveling, and I want to do some more writing, and just those kind of things, and just be pulpit supply and do what I do, and just make it make sense. And it has to make sense to me. So plans have been made, for this upcoming retirement. We announced it back in December of last year. We share with the church. It took them a few minutes, a few days, a few weeks, a few months to kind of wrap their minds around it. And more they seem to be coming about with it, which is a good thing. There are those who said, Pastor, I'm so happy for you, and while we're going to miss you and your leadership, many of them are appreciative for what we have brought to the table, what we have shared and taught them over the years. And so what we have been doing, we have been training the Pulpit Search Committee, and they are now at the point where they will be officially receiving applications and resumes from persons who are interested in becoming or being considered pastor of the Pioneer Missionary Baptist Church. You can go on our pnbc.org website and you can see the information there. And if you believe that you qualify and you're interested, then you'd want to fill out that application and print it out, get your resume, your bio, and send the both in to Pioneer Church, to the attention of the Pulpit Search Committee. And they will certainly acknowledge receiving your communication, and then it goes from there. So as for me, my retirement is set up, and one of the first things that has taken place already is each month we have a guest speaker to come in who speaks concerning regarding my upcoming retirement, but they're going to preach the gospel. That's what we want them to preach, Jesus, right, Him crucified. But they will also acknowledge the fact that I will be retiring, and hopefully they can say something that makes sense to the congregation as well as me. You know, I need to hear a good word. I need to be encouraged, and it's always refreshing when there are those who say, you know what, people retire and they love it. And I'm so happy for you, and I hope that your retirement is everything that it needs to be. And I tell you, that's such a blessing. I love that a whole lot more than I do. You shouldn't retire. You should rethink it. Why do you want to do that? If I were you, I'd stay another 20 years. Well, no, it's time. It's time to go to the next chapter. It's time for me to go to the next chapter. Now, someone else may be stuck in this chapter that I'm in now. And I just say, God bless you and your chapter ministries. But it's time for me now to move on to the next chapter. So I've got speakers coming in once a month. Then on the 18th of October, that's next month, October 18th, 5 o'clock p.m., it's going to be a gala banquet. We're going to put on our dress up clothes. And that's going to be a time for great celebration. And those banquet tickets are on sale even as I speak. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, I would say, and you want to participate, please do not delay. Go ahead and get those tickets while they are available. You can go on this website, Winfrey retirementgala.com. I'm going to say it again, winfreyretirementgala.com. That's going to give you the list of everything, all of the events that are coming up. The very first one is going to be the gala banquet on October the 18th. You want to get that ticket as soon as you possibly can. Go on. You can purchase that ticket online, or you can send your good check. We're not going to chase anybody down. And purchase your ticket. The tickets will call. You'll be able to get those tickets when you come in. You just show your government ID, and your ticket or your tickets will be there. There's going to be, if you want to purchase a full table, it's going to be a table of 8. And so I want to encourage you to go ahead and do it now. One of the other things that's en route right now is the souvenir book where you can place your ads. 2 ads going to be there. It's going to be a half-page ad, and then there's a full-page ad. And I don't want to give all of that in terms of the cost. I want to encourage you to go to the website and take a look at it. You want to do a full-page ad. You may say, you know what? I want to become a sponsor. I want to be a gold or silver sponsor. You can do that. All of that information is right there on the website, winfreyretirementgala.com. And to help you, my last name is spelled Winfrey. So winfreyretirementgala.com. Please do it. Do it right away. Don't wait. And then there's going to be a jazz roast and toast. That's going to take place on I believe it's the 14th of November. That's going to be November. Oh, let me backtrack a moment. That ad book, we're coming to the deadline on it. So if you want to get those ads in, my friends, you need to do it like this week, not later than this week coming, because it's going to be going to print. And if you want to be included, we want you to be included, and that will give me the opportunity, when the time is right, to be able to go through the book and see all the people who were so supportive and kind and thoughtful. So whether it's you as the individual, your family, your church, your business, your block club, whoever it is, we'll accept those ads. And I would just ask that you'd only get them in not later than next week, next Friday. Then there's going to be the roast and toast. That's going to take place at the church, Pioneer, 315 East, 161st Place in South Holland. And that's the 14th. We have some nice jazz, maybe some Christian jazz also. But they're going to be roasting me, and I guess I have to put on my big boy pants, leave my boxing gloves at home. I don't want to have to box somebody's ears if they, get too beside themselves, but I'll have people there just in case. If they see a tear coming down my eye, not from laughing, but because someone went south, then that's going to be taken care of. You know what I'm saying? Then on that Saturday, the 15th, there's going to be a ladies' event for Lady Winfrey. They want to honor her for her stewardship and for sticking it out with me. And so that's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great event that's going to take place at a different location. And I'll give that information to you later on. I don't have that address on me right now, so sorry, but that's going to take place in the city of Chicago. And then because we need a special setting for that piece, it's going to be a play, and you don't want to miss that. Then finally on that Sunday, the 16th, that's going to be the culmination of all of these events that are taking place. And so that morning we'll have morning worship at 9 o'clock, and tributes will be given, and all of those things. We'll share in a meal, and then we're going to close out that event with my home church, the Friendship Baptist Church. That's going to be at 3 o'clock p.m. on the 16th of November. And then we'll coast throughout the rest of November. And then our final chapter with Pioneer will be on the last Sunday of November. And from there, our status will change from senior pastor to pastor emeritus. And so it's at that point that we'll be going on to the next chapter. So listen, folks, I am excited. I'm glad. I'm thankful to the Lord for what he's done, what he will do, what he continues to do. And I pray that you will pray for me. Will you do that? You going to pray? Please do. Now, this one today went a little longer than usual, but I needed to just say some things. I needed to get it out, not so much for your benefit, but for my benefit. So now I'll get a chance to go back and take a look at it. And listen, all of this is possible, is made possible because of a very fine sponsor. And that's the one who came through 42 generations. Now I'm talking about Jesus, right? Came from heaven down here to redeem somebody like me. And of course, somebody like you. Gave his life on Calvary, suffered, bled, and died. They buried him in a borrowed tomb. Stayed there all weekend long. But you do know the rest of the story. It was early. Early Sunday morning, he arose victoriously with all power in his hand. And now he's gone back to glory. He's preparing, making a way for us. But he said, one day I'm going to return and I'm going to bring you unto myself, that where I am, you can be there also. What a great chapter. What a way. And so what will the next chapter look like? I don't know. And I won't know until I get into it. That's how chapters are. You know, you can read the title, but you don't know what it's about until you read and go through the contents. And so I want to invite you, pray for me, pray for this upcoming retirement. And those of you, my friends, who say, you know, I want to be a part of this, then please, we're like right at the deadlines here. So you want to make sure that you're accounted for. All righty. Well, listen, thank you again for joining me. May the Lord bless you. I love you. God loves you. And I'm not going to take it back. Thanks again. And have a good rest of today. And don't forget, tell somebody about Jesus. He's the one. God bless you.